Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Supraworld. This is the game that we're having a look at today. Now if you're not across it, I do overviews on this channel. It's where I just have a look at the first 2 hours of a game. It's a Steam refund window. Steam reckons you can make up your mind about whether you want to keep a game or not in that time. I generally agree as a rule. I'd say 20 hours in, you're probably not going to change your mind about how you felt 2 hours in. So it's a short punchy video, broad strokes info, keep it around 10 minutes and you can make up your mind on your own. So this is coming out of Supra Games, and it's part of an ongoing, Supra series, I suppose you could call it. I've been aware of this from afar, but never actually dipped my toes until now. Supraland 6 inches under. There's been a couple of releases along the way. But in all honesty, apart from it being very pretty, like aesthetically, it has this kind of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids aesthetic, Toy Story, toy boxy sort of thing. I never really actually intuited what it was. So it's cool to actually give it a go now, firsthand with Supraworld, and not meaning to bury the lead, this is actually really quite promising, really cool, especially for early access. Again, I'm very vocal about how much I dislike early access, and it's just fascinating to me how gaslit a lot of the gaming community is into being free labor and all fault investors for what more and more becomes a scam. But that may be the rule. There are still exceptions to early access that works well, and this seems to be that, which is a good thing. I haven't had any bugs or performance issues or anything like that. It runs buttery smooth. The world is really well realized. There seems to be plenty of content there. I've kind of just finished the first act, I suppose you could say. You're cordoned off into this area collecting eggs. That's what the game calls them. I guess that's a good name. The little things from inside a Kinder Surprise. But yeah, what it actually is mechanically is that you move through this environment and it's a very bespoke, handcrafted puzzle set piece. So not procedural, not sandboxy or anything like that, but it's more of almost different stalls, if you wanted to break it down that way, of pretty basic, clever within a certain range, but they're not trying to be a brain melting type puzzle. It's not something like the Witness or anything like that. It's not going into pretentious areas of self-seriousness. Rather, this is very much aimed at children, which is good. It's good to have a bit for everyone and different audiences, etc. But the hook seems to be that you're functionally very low power, depowered, I suppose you could say. You can't jump, sprint, or anything like that, and it gets the humor. I don't know what you would call it. You know how you have sort of like slapstick, you have prop humor. There is a type of kind of game humor, which most don't quite nail. But I would argue it's a humor born of gameplay mechanics, a humor you probably couldn't do in the movies. So yeah, when you get up to start this game to get out of bed, you literally can't get out of bed because you don't have the ability to get up. You can just sit there hitting the button. Every button just makes a grunt. But if you look around and open like the bedside table, there's a little ability thing and you pick that up and it gives you the ability to actually stand up. And as much as it's a pretty low-hanging meme, it does obviously serve as a functional way of showing you how you are going to evolve your character through the course of it. It also does a pretty clever bit of subversion, which, might make you cock your head. I hate subversion because there's an entire generation of writers that build their entire ethos around what makes them different in basically being in an attempt to subvert everything they possibly can. But in this case, it actually stuck the landing quite rarely. You customize your character at the beginning, and that's not actually you. The guy that you crafted, in fact, is sort of like the main character of the world. There's probably a whole bunch of lore from the previous games that this ties together, but this is my first time seeing any of it. But it would seem that you're part of like a puzzle solvers guild. It's kind of the kid superhero take in this universe. And there's like a final exam grand finale kind of thing, and there's two candidates, which is the hero that everyone loves and adores that you probably spent a few minutes customizing to be your character, and it just bait and switches you. And then there's you, some random NPC. So it's very clever, and the way that they announce you out the front of the puzzle house, and they just do a real slow clap, and no one gives a crap about you, and it's very clever. You can hear the grin in my face. Like, dare I say, I am impressed by how actually innovative and clever it is. And this is part of why I can never truly give up on early access or even, more little kiddie games, because within those opening few minutes, it does more than what many other high-profile games fail to do themselves. So you move around this environment, you're kind of moving at warp speed, or rather not super high speed. You don't have jumps or anything like that. You're very basic. And the idea is that you need to go around and collect these eggs to go and rescue the princess. The setup is essentially trying to pass this final puzzle exam, and that's the puzzle in and of itself. And as you approach these eggs and you go and explore and find them, the other dude, your opponent slash sidekick, will rock up, and he kind of serves as a, companion on your shoulder in a way. You can talk to him and he'll give little hints of dialogue. Even though the framing and trapping is that he's in opposition of you, he serves as a kind of companion as you go from spot to spot. Again, incredibly clever. So eventually you'll find some solvable puzzles, and some of them are a bit more fiendish than others, and you'll unlock these eggs and you'll have to bring the egg back to the central hub shop and open that up, and in turn you can buy your ability from there, which will range from jumps and sprints. You get a little air cannon thing as well, and these in turn will open up avenues of more puzzles to be solved around the area. Now this is all just in the first area, like I said, in the opening hours. Once you get out, it seems to open up quite a bit, but at that point I knew what I was in for. I was hooked, I enjoyed it, I'd seen enough, I figured it was time to do a video there. So there is more beyond that, but that's the main trapping of the first area. And yeah, like I said, it's all very clever. I love the handcrafted, beautiful nature of it. There's some really clever gags and soft world building within it. There's a combination lock that you can solve, which I never got around to solving, but there's a policeman that will teleport or run over, be out of puffed and run over to supervise you. So there's the dude that knows what the code is, but he's not going to tell you. And then there's this policeman who you talk to, and it turns out he's the, I can't remember the exact phrase, but like the glitch police, the exploit police, because this world that you live in is about solving puzzles and aspiring to be a hero puzzle solver. They have in turn their weird exploit police. It's very funny, and he's there to literally stop you from brute forcing the combination lock. So I immediately tried to do exactly that, and he starts giving you sus eyes like, "You're not trying to brute force it, are you?" And I'm like, "Nah," and then I just kept doing it, in which case he booted me halfway across the map. And I love that, because if you give me something with a fairly brutable combination, I will do exactly that. This is the first thing I've ever seen in any game ever that would stop me from brute forcing. And yeah, so those cops, there seems to be two of them, and they get around and they comment, and there's one point where I had to get a key past a dude, but there was a dude posted there, and it gets away with some of the meta construction, because these are constructed puzzles in a world where we construct puzzles. There's a door that I had to get a blue key to, but the guy standing in front of the archway to it was like, "I'm here to stop blue keys going through because that's my job for this puzzle." And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, internally, it's consistent in this particular instance. So I managed to find a way to, there was an open roof above where the door was, so I managed to throw the key up and over, and it worked. And you come back out and the police are like, "Oh, I don't know, was that a bit sus? We'll let it go, we'll just keep an eye on him." And I found them very quite charming and clever and original. These dudes looking to potentially ticket you if you glitch the game too hard, trying to break it and solve it. It's very funny. Anyway, look, like I said, it's polished, there's content there. I'm sure if you're already a Supraworld Super Series fan, you're all over this. If you're reluctant to, again, jump into a new release at full price with early access, you could probably check out their back catalogue. Now that I've got an understanding of what this is, I realize retroactively what the previous games must be like, and sight unseen, I would probably recommend them too as well. So yeah, very cool game, very impressed, glad that I finally got around to figuring out what it is, and for my part I wish them the very best of luck in their early access period. Anyway team, I might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.